Hello everyone and welcome back to the offline video series of Biology of Class 6. So, today in this video we are going to study about the mechanism of breathing. In previous videos of biology, you have studied about the respiratory system in human beings, the various organs which are involved in the process of respiration like nose, trachea, pharynx, larynx, etc. After that, you studied what is respiration and how it is carried out. Again, after that, you have studied about the phases of respiration. There are three important phases of respiration. First one is the breathing, second one is the gaseous transport, and third one is the cellular respiration. Now, in this video, we are going to study about the mechanism of breathing. That means how exactly breathing takes place in human body. So, the process in which the air which contains oxygen is given to the lungs and the air which contains carbon dioxide is taken back by lungs and which is forced out through nose is called as breathing. Now, this process of breathing is divided into two main steps. First one is the inspiration and second one is the expiration. Now we are going to study about the basic or main difference between inspiration and expiration. So this is the difference between inhalation and exhalation. That means inspiration and expiration. Ribs moves upward and outward in case of inhalation, while in case of exhalation, ribs moves downward and inward. The second point is about diaphragm. Diaphragm is pushed downward and flattened in case of inhalation, and in case of exhalation, diaphragm moves upwards and become dome shape. In case of inhalation, volume of chest cavity increases, and in case of exhalation, volume of chest cavity decreases. The fourth point is telling you about lungs expands and air pressure becomes low, and in case of exhalation, size of lungs reduces and air pressure becomes high. Now, in case of inhalation, the last point is about atmospheric air. Atmospheric air at the high pressure rushes into the lungs, while in case of exhalation, air rushes out of the lungs as atmospheric pressure is lower. Now we are going to study about an interesting concept. Why do we sneeze? We all sneeze in our day-to-day life. So, what is the reason behind this? Why do we sneeze in our day-to-day life? When any foreign particle enters into the nasal chamber through nose, the inner mucus lining of nasal chamber gets irritated because of it. And as a result, we sneeze or we perform any kind of involuntary action which automatically removes that foreign particle from the nasal chamber through the nose. As I told you that in order to remove any kind of foreign particle from the nasal chamber, our body performs any kind of involuntary action. Similarly, breathing is also a kind of involuntary action. Involuntary means something which is not under our control. We can control our breath for 1 or 2 minutes, but if we do so, later at the third minute, our body starts feeling lack of oxygen and we start taking the breaths more deeply. Now we are going to perform an activity to feel the change which occurs during breathing. Here is the activity. The activity is to feel the changes occurring during the breathing. So in this activity, you have to put your hands on your chest and take a deep breath. You can feel the rising of ribs and bulging of your abdomen. The abdomen bulges due to the lowering of diaphragm, pressing the intestine downwards. Now we are going to perform the next activity in order to understand the role of diaphragm. Here is the second activity. The activity is about to study the role of diaphragm in breathing. Now in this activity, you have to take a bell jar as shown in the picture. Fix 2 rubber balloons which are tied at the end of two small arms of the Y-shaped glass tube. Now insert the long arm of the glass tube through the cork and fix the cork tightly on the mouth of the jar. Tie the sheet of the rubber at the white mouth of the bell jar. Now pull the rubber sheets downwards. What happens to the balloon? As a result of this activity, when we pull the rubber sheets in downward direction, the balloon starts blowing. Let us study the difference between breathing and respiration. So here is the difference between breathing and respiration. The first point about breathing and respiration is it is a physical process in case of breathing, and respiration is a biochemical process. The second point about breathing is air containing oxygen is taken into the lungs and air loaded with carbon dioxide is given out. In case of respiration, the second point is oxygen taken in is used in oxidizing glucose and energy is released. The third point about breathing is lungs are mainly involved in that case, while in case of respiration, it occurs in all living cells of the body. Now, we are going to study the last topic of this lesson, that is some of the common respiratory diseases. So the first common respiratory disease is bronchitis. It is a common respiratory infection in which the inner lining of bronchi is inflamed. That means swelling starts into the inner lining of bronchi. And as the swelling begins at the inner lining of bronchi, it becomes narrower and slowly the opening of these bronchi closes or shuts down. And when this happens, it leads to breathlessness and coughing. The next disease is asthma. Many people face the problem of asthma in their day-to-day life. Asthma is a kind of disease in which a person is unable to breathe properly. The person starts feeling irritated and restlessness. It is a type of chronic disease which also leads to the inflammation and swelling of air passage. During an asthmatic attack, a patient starts feeling tightness on the chest, and that person also starts feeling restlessness in breathing. The third disease is pneumonia. Pneumonia is a respiratory infection which is caused by bacterium. This bacterium enters into the air sacs, that is alveoli, and they starts multiplying over there. As they get multiply over there in the alveoli is filled with the fluid, and later it causes chest pain and high fever. And the last respiratory disease is tuberculosis. You might have seen many people suffering from tuberculosis. This disease is also a type of respiratory infection which is caused by bacterium. The person who is suffering from tuberculosis faces low fever, chest pain and weight loss.